Hello, welcome back to the Bible in a Year Live Tanakh Project. We've been reading from the Complete Jewish Bible this week, and we're going to pick up back right where we left off yesterday. In 1 Samuel 21 to 24, David, on the run from King Saul, seeks provisions and refuge, first feigning madness at the Philistine court in Gath, and later gaining help from a priest at Nob, whose entire priestly family Saul then slaughters. David gathers a band of outcasts at the cave of Adullam, flees to Moab to protect his parents, and receives a prophet's warning to leave his stronghold. He is then in the wilderness of Ziph and eventually in the cave of En-Gedi, where Saul pursues him, providing David an opportunity to cut off a piece of Saul's robe, but choosing instead to spare his life and challenge him with the evidence of mercy. Let's dive in. 1 Samuel chapter 21. So David got up and left, and Jonathan went back to the city. David went to see Achimelech, the Kohen in Nov. Achimelech came trembling to meet David and asked, "Why are you alone? Why is no one with you?" David said to Achimelech, the Kohen, "The king has sent me on a mission and told me not to let anyone know its purpose or what I've been ordered to do. I've arranged a place where the guards are to meet me. Now, what do you have on hand? If you can spare 5 loaves of bread, give them to me, or whatever there is." The Kohen answered David, "I don't have any regular bread. However, there is consecrated bread, but only if the guards have abstained from women." David answered the Kohen, "Of course, women have been kept away from us, as on previous campaigns. Whenever I go out on campaign, the men's gear is clean, even if it's an ordinary trip. How much more then today, when they will be putting something consecrated in their packs?" So the Kohen gave him the consecrated bread, because there was no bread there other than the showbread that had been removed from before Adonai to be replaced by freshly baked bread on the day the old bread was removed. One of the servants of Shaul happened to be there that day, detained before Adonai. His name was Doeg the Edomite, the head of Shaul's shepherds. David said to Achimelech, "Perhaps you have here with you a spear or a sword. I brought neither my spear nor other weapons because the king's mission was urgent." The Kohen said, "The sword of Goliath, the Philistine you killed in Elah Valley, is over there behind the ritual vest, wrapped in a cloth. If you want it, take it. It's the only one here." David said, "There's nothing like it. Give it to me." The same day, David took flight from Shaul and went to Achish, king of Gath. The servants of Achish said to him, "Isn't that David, king of the land? Weren't they dancing and singing to each other? Shaul has killed his thousands, but David his tens of thousands." These remarks were not lost on David, and he became very much afraid of Achish, king of Gath. So, as they were watching, he changed his behavior and acted like a madman when they had hold of him, scratching marks on the doors of the city gate and drooling down his beard. Achish said to his servants, "Here, you see that the man is Meshuggah? Why bring him to me? Am I short of Meshuggahim? Is that why you've brought this one to go crazy on me? Must I have this one in my house?" David left there and took refuge in the cave of Adullam. When his brothers and the rest of his father's family heard of it, they went down to see him there. Then all the people in distress, in debt or embitterment, began gathering around him, and he became their leader. There were about 400 with him. David went from there to Mitzvah of Moab and said to the king of Moab, "Please let my father and mother come and stay with me until I know what God will do for me." He presented them to the king of Moab, and they lived with him as long as David remained in his stronghold. But the prophet Gad said to David, "Don't stay in the stronghold. Leave and go to the land of Judah." So David left and went to the forest of Heret. Shaul heard that David and the men with him had been located. Shaul was sitting in Gibeah, under the tamarisk tree on the hill, with his spear in his hand and all his servants standing around him. Shaul said to his servants standing around him, "Listen, you men of Benjamin, is Yeshai's son going to give any of you fields and vineyards? Is he going to make you all commanders of thousands and hundreds? Is this why you have all conspired against me? Why none of you told me when my son went in league with Yeshai's son? None of you is concerned about me. Otherwise, you would have told me that my son had incited my servant to become my enemy, as he is now." Then Doeg the Edomite, who had been put in charge of Shaul's servants, answered, I saw Yeshai's son come to Nov, to Achimelech, the son of Achitov. He consulted Adonai for him, gave him food, and gave him the sword of Goliath the Philistine. The king sent to summon Achimelech the Kohen, the son of Achitov, along with all his father's family, the Kohanim in Nov, and all of them went to the king. Shaul said, "Listen here, you son of Achitov." He answered, "Here I am, my lord." Shaul said to him, "Why did you conspire against me, you and Yeshai's son? By giving him bread and a sword and consulting God for him, you helped him rebel against me and become my enemy, which he is now." Achimelech answered the king, "Is there anyone among all your servants more trustworthy than David? He is the king's son-in-law. He carries out your every request. Your household honors him. I didn't start consulting God for him just today. Heaven forbid. The king shouldn't accuse me or my father's family of anything. Your servant knows nothing at all about any of this." But the king said, "You must die, you and your father's whole family." Then the king told the guards standing around him, "Go around and kill the Kohanim of Adonai, because they are siding with David, and because they knew he was escaping, yet they didn't tell me." But the king's servants refused to lift their hands against the Kohanim of Adonai. So the king said to Doeg, "You, go around and kill the Kohanim." Doeg, the Edomite, went around and fell on the Kohanim. That day, he killed 85 persons wearing linen ritual vests. He also attacked Nov, the city of the Kohanim, with the sword. He put to the sword both men and women, children and babies, cattle, donkeys, and sheep. One of the sons of Achimelech, the son of Achitov, named Aviatar, escaped and fled to join David. Aviatar told David that Shaul had killed the Kohanim of Adonai. David said to Aviatar, "I knew it. That day when Doeg the Edomite was there, I knew he would tell Shaul, 'I caused the death of every person in your father's family.' Stay with me. Don't be afraid, because the one who is seeking my life seeks yours too. You'll be safe with me." Chapter 23. David was told, "The Philistines are fighting Keilah and plundering the threshing floors." David consulted Adonai, asking, "Should I go and attack these Philistines?" Adonai answered David, "Go and attack the Philistines and save Keilah." David's men said to him, "Look, we're already afraid here in Judah. How much more then if we go to Keilah to fight the armies of the Philistines?" David consulted Adonai again, and Adonai answered, "Set out and go down to Keilah, because I will hand the Philistines over to you." David and his men went to Keilah and fought the Philistines. They defeated them in a great slaughter and led away their livestock. Thus David saved the inhabitants of Keilah. When Aviatar, the son of Achimelech, fled to David in Keilah, he had brought a ritual vest with him. Now Shaul, on being informed that David had gone to Keilah, had said, "God has put him into my hands. He strapped himself by entering a town with gates and bars." So Shaul summoned all the people to war, to go down to Keilah and besiege David and his men. David knew that Shaul was plotting something against him, so he told Aviatar the Kohen, "Bring the ritual vest here." Then David said, "Adonai, God of Israel, your servant has certainly heard that Shaul intends to come to Keilah and destroy the city just to get me. Will the men of Keilah turn me over to him? Will Shaul come down as your servant has heard? Adonai of Israel, please tell your servant." Adonai said, "He will come down." Then David asked, "Will the men of Keilah hand me and my men over to Shaul?" Adonai said, "They will hand you over." So David and his men, now around 600, got up, left Keilah, and went wherever they could. It was told Shaul that David had escaped from Keilah, so he called off the expedition. David stayed in the desert strongholds, remaining in the hills of the Ziph desert. Shaul kept trying to find him, but God did not hand him over to him. David saw that Shaul had mounted another expedition to seek his life. David was then at Horesh in the Ziph desert. Jonathan, Shaul's son, set out and went to David at Horesh to encourage him in God. He said to him, "Don't be afraid, because my father's forces will not find you. You will be king over Israel, and I will be second to you. Shaul, my father, knows this too." Then the two of them made a covenant in the presence of Adonai, after which David stayed at Horesh and Jonathan returned home. The people of Ziph came to Shaul in Givah and said, David is hiding himself with us in the strongholds of Horesh, on Kahila Hill, south of Yeshimon. So now, king, since you've wanted so much to come down. Our part will be to turn him over to you. Shaul said, May Adonai bless you for showing me compassion. Please go and make still more certain exactly where he is and who has seen him there, because I've been told that he's very tricky. So look closely, find out where all his hiding places are, and come back when you're sure. Then I will go with you, and if he is there in the territory, I'll search till I find him among all the thousands of Judah. They set out and went to Ziph before Shaul. But David and his men had gone on to the Moon desert in the Avara south of Yeshimon. Shaul and his men went searching for him. David was told, so he came down to the rock and stayed in the Moon desert. When Shaul heard that, he pursued David in the Moon desert. Shaul went along one side of the mountain, while David and his men went along the other. David was hurrying to get away from Shaul, while Shaul and his men were trying to surround David and his men in order to capture them. But then a messenger came to Shaul saying, Hurry, come, because the Philistines are invading the country. So Shaul stopped chasing David and went to fight the Philistines. Therefore, they called that place Selah Hamalekot, Rock of Divisions. Chapter 24. From there, David went up and lived in the strongholds of En-Gedi. When Shaul returned from pursuing the Philistine, he was told that David was in the desert of En-Gedi. Shaul took 3,000 men chosen from all Israel and went searching for David and his men on the cliffs where the mountain goats are. Near some sheep pens along the way was a cave, and Shaul went inside to relieve himself. It happened that David and his men were sitting in the recesses at the back of the cave, and David's men said to him, Look, the day has come that Adonai told you about when he said to you, I will turn your enemy over to you and you will do to him whatever seems good to you. Then David stole over, unobserved, and cut off the corner of Shaul's cloak. But after doing this, David felt remorse over cutting Shaul's garment. He said to his men, Adonai forbid that I should do such a thing to my Lord, Adonai's anointed, as raise my hand against him. After all, he is Adonai's anointed. By saying this, David stopped his men and would not let them do anything to Shaul. Shaul got up, left the cave, and went on his way. Then David too got up and went outside the cave, where he called after Shaul, My lord the king! When Shaul looked behind him, David bowed with his face to the ground and prostrated himself. David said to Shaul, Why do you listen to people who say David is out to harm you? Here, today, you have seen with your own eyes that Adonai put you in my power there in the cave. Some of my men said I should kill you, but I spared you. I said, I won't raise my hand against my Lord, because he is Adonai's anointed. Moreover, my father, look, here in my hand you see the corner of your cloak. By the fact that I only cut off a piece of your cloak and didn't kill you, you can see and understand that I have no plan to do harm or rebel, and that I haven't sinned against you, even though you are seeking every chance you get to take my life. May Adonai judge between you and me, and may Adonai avenge me on you, but I will not lay a hand on you. As the old saying has it, out of the wicked comes wickedness, but I will not lay a hand on you. The king of Israel has come on a campaign. After whom? Whom are you chasing? A dead dog? A single flea? Adonai be the judge. Let him decide between you and me. May he take my side and rescue me from your power. After David had finished speaking to Shaul, Shaul said, Is that your voice, my son David? Then Shaul cried out and wept. And he said to David, You are more righteous than I, because you have treated me well, while I have been treating you badly. You have made it clear to me today that you have done me good. For when Adonai put my face in your hands, you didn't kill me. A man finds his enemy and lets him go unharmed. May Adonai reward you well for what you did to me today. Now I'm certain that you will indeed become king, and that the kingship of Israel will be established in your hands. So swear to me by Adonai that you will not kill my descendants after I die, or blot out my name from my father's family." David swore to Shaul, and Shaul went home. But David and his men went back up to the stronghold. This is the word of the Lord. Amen. Join us again tomorrow, where we will start another week in another version, going through the Bible live in the Tanakh Project. Blessings.